The Milwaukee Bucks have unlocked a play call so unguardable that the NBA has no hope in trying to stop it. Opening night saw the Bucks travel to Philadelphia to take on the 76ers, and even though Embiid and PG weren't available, Milwaukee's offense was slow to begin the game. The absence of Middleton looked like it had an impact on that side of the ball, but the defense was actually carrying them through. With the Bucks game planning for Tyrese Maxey, he struggled as a result, as the defense of Gary Trent Jr. kept Tyrese to just 25, 6 and 3, which sounds okay, but it isn't, as he had to take 31 shots to get only 25 points. Not an efficient night. But on the other hand, Milwaukee's new additions made themselves known, as between Prince and Trent Jr., they made 6 of 10 from 3 and played hard defense all game long. Then for the two stars of the Bucks, Giannis and Dame, they would combine for 55 points, both on great efficiency, with Damian Lillard in particular looking very comfortable. The media is always talking about the Dame Giannis pick and roll action, but it's perhaps the pick and roll with Brook Lopez that's even more dangerous. Not because Lopez is better than Giannis, but because he knows how to set screens. For me, what is and will continue to hold back the Dame Giannis pick and roll action is because of the simple fact that Giannis isn't a good screener, oftentimes getting in the way of Dame or just not rolling. But not only that, the opposing defense will build a wall for Giannis's roll, leaving Dame without a driving lane after he comes off the screen. But with Lopez, the defense is more relaxed, and they also have to defend Lopez as a three-point shooter, which in turn gives Dame more space to work. But also when Giannis is on the floor, he's a threat to cut back door, making this an incredibly difficult action to defend. What makes Brook Lopez such a good screener is he understands the angles needed to set a screen for Lillard. And I also think because Brook plays very similar to his former teammate Yusuf Nurkic, Dame just looks more comfortable in Brook's pick and rolls. In this game, the action was unleashed, and the Sixers had no answer for it. As first, you're going to see a Horns action with Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, allowing Dame the separation needed to make this tough three. Now with Dame coming up the court, Brook positions himself behind Kelly Oubre, and once Kelly backs into Brook, Dame takes advantage of the situation, blowing on by for an easy layup. Here it is again, as this time Caleb Martin falls victim, and when Drummond doesn't step up to Lillard, it allows yet another deep three for Dame. But the issue is, if Drummond did step up, he would have been beaten back to the basket, which is why this is an impossible action to guard effectively. Now at half court, Lopez sets an extremely high pick, which allows Dame to get downhill, beating Maxey and Yabusele back for the finish. Now off another high screen, Lillard is played well by the Sixers defense, so he fakes the pass to Lopez, who is a three-point threat, and when Martin bites, Dame's open for three again. Now with Philly having no answer for Damian Lillard, they double him above the three-point line, leaving Lopez open. But instead of shooting it, I really like what Brook does here, as he fires it right back to Dame, who catches Maxey sleeping and gets another bomb to fall. So now with the 76ers back into a single coverage, this was the best screen and roll of the night, as here it's Dame who fakes like he's heading left and instead goes right, completely losing Caleb Martin for another triple. Dame can make shots from anywhere, and this one was pure, rising up from 30 feet and hitting nothing but net. This Damian Lillard looks much more like the Portland version, and if the Bucks get this for the rest of the season, look out for Milwaukee this year. But not only does this action give Dame more space to work into, but it also takes attention away from the two-time MVP and Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is amazing. This is an action I'd like to see the Bucks run more often, as here Giannis gives it up to get it back, as he cuts back into space and Prince finds him for the slam. This is the playmaking effect that Giannis has, as here it's Dame who runs out of room and throws it up to Giannis, and once the defense collapses, Giannis finds Bobby Portis open in the corner for three. This is a tough bucket, as with Yabusele all over him, Giannis still finishes through the contact, drawing the foul and one. On the replay, it looks like he's completely smothered and nearly lost the ball, but he's still able to finish the play, and the reaction from Yabusele says it all. There's no reason why the Bucks can't do this every time in transition, as with PC and DeLon Wright running their lanes to space the floor for Giannis, like a freight train coming down the tracks, The Greek Freak throws down a monster slam. Here's the playmaking I was talking about earlier again, as with the smaller Caleb Martin on him, it's Oubre who helps, leaving Taurean Prince open for the downtown hit. This is a nice way to implement Dame without actually doing it, as here just the presence of Lillard makes the defense soften for Giannis, and like a hot knife through butter, Antetokounmpo gets 2 more. His finishing ability is simply unmatched, as here he gets this one to drop through 2 Sixers defenders. However, as great as Giannis and Dame are by themselves, they still need to figure out a better 2-man game. Now, they don't have to go to this as much as Milwaukee is currently going to Brook and Dame's pick and roll, but they still need to have it as an option. If Dame and Giannis figure it out, they could have 3 of the best pick and rolls in the NBA when Middleton returns with Giannis. But that's just it. How does Middleton fit into this Bucks team when he comes back, and will he mess up the defense Milwaukee have with Prince starting at the 3? For me as a Bucks fan, the idea of having Chris coming off the bench is an interesting one. At first, I was like, no way. Chris Middleton is way too good to come off the bench. But then I thought, wait, this could actually work. The pros of having Prince in the starting lineup are obvious. His defense and actually better 3-point shooting than Chris. But the negatives are less creation and shot making. But when you have Dame and Giannis in the starting 5 too, that's not really that big of a concern. With a bench lineup featuring Middleton and Bobby Portis, that would make Milwaukee clearly the deepest team in the NBA. And then when you consider the injury history of Chris Middleton, this might be the answer for at least a little while in the regular season. Taurean Prince starting would give Chris Middleton the ability to coast through the regular season, not having to exert himself as much on the defensive end. And in the starting 5, Prince and Gary Trent Jr. could take even more of a defensive load off of Dame, which would be a huge boost. For me though, if Milwaukee do decide to make Middleton the 6th man, which I think is incredibly unlikely, we still need to see Chris start in some games to just see how much worse it actually is. Because if Chris doesn't disturb the offensive flow and the defense isn't that much worse, there's no real reason why I think Chris shouldn't just start. But if the defense in particular gets far worse with Chris Middleton in there, then I think the Bucks need to take a serious look at Chris playing a Manu Ginobili type role. In no means am I saying or I'm trying to say that Chris Middleton is washed or overrated, as I actually think he's crucial to the team's success. As last season he led the NBA in mid-range jump shooting percentage at 58%, which was better than Kevin Durant and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a big shot maker, and in the 2021 playoffs in particular, he made 15 game-tying or go-ahead buckets in that championship run, and I still think he could figure it out in that starting 5. Also, his ability to contribute without dominating the ball is a major asset, as when Dame joined the team, his usage rate dropped. But he was still able to deliver 15, 5, and 5 last season on nearly 57% true shooting percentage. Then in his very underrated postseason performance against the Pacers, those numbers rocketed up to 24.7 points, 9.2 rebounds, 4.7 assists, all while playing 38 minutes per game in that first round series. So when I look at this Milwaukee Bucks team, it's so much more than just Dame and Giannis. It's also the Dame Lopez connection, the Chris Giannis connection, overall how much better every role player fits into this squad, better than Malik Beasley and Patrick Beverley did last season. Even though this game was against a short-handed 76ers squad, I still believe we learnt a lot about this Milwaukee Bucks team after only one game. And I truly think this Bucks team is going to be elite this season. But that's just my take. Let me know in the comments section below, can we really take anything away from only one game, or are we going to need a bigger sample size to determine whether or not this team is a true title contender? Let me know in the comments section below.